Hi, my name is Karina, and welcome to the Diabetic Debrief podcast. I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, my backstory, and the reason why I want to start this podcast, and also talk a little bit about my goals and what I want to get out of it. So my story starts back in 2020 when I got super sick. I lost a ton of weight and I had really bad migraines all the time. So I got some blood work done, and I think my blood sugar was something crazy, like 500 or something. So I was hospitalized and diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, which means it kind of just happens. There's nothing that I or anybody with type 1 diabetes can do to prevent it from happening. But I also noticed that it gets confused with type 2 diabetes a lot. How I like to explain it is while type 2 and type 1 have the same treatment, which is insulin, they have very different causes. Type 1, like I said earlier, is an autoimmune disease, while type 2 is normally due to a lack of exercise or an unhealthy diet, and is also more common in older people, while type 1 diabetes is more common in people 0 through 18, so adolescents or kids. Basically, what type 1 diabetes means is that your pancreas kind of stops working for you, and what you have to do is you have to do all the work that organ used to do. What a pancreas does is it manages your blood sugar through insulin. So what I and all other type 1 diabetics have to do is we have to give ourselves insulin before pretty much every meal that we eat. And we also have to make sure we have a sort of consistent base rate of insulin throughout the day. So I've been living with type 1 diabetes for almost 5 years now. And that kind of leads me to the reason why I want to start this podcast. Because I was kind of thrown into this new medical world, I think that I have become really interested in learning how the healthcare system affects different people, including myself, and how they manage their type 1 diabetes. After doing a lot of research and learning a lot about different laws and current systems that are set up, it's become very clear to me that marginalized communities such as people of color, people living at or near the poverty line, and women are much more affected by these current laws. They find it a lot harder to access supplies and care they need to live healthy lives with type 1 diabetes. And let me just say, as a person living with type 1 diabetes, it really is a 24/7 job. And without having the care and support that you need, it can become very, very difficult and very, very dangerous to live with this disease. In the past, I've worked with Breakthrough T1D, which is formerly the JDRF, and I've done a lot of outreach work, speaking to kids who are newly diagnosed and helping them through that hard time. And I've also done a lot of advocacy work, speaking to policymakers and advocating for the renewal of research grants for type 1 diabetes, which is super important considering there's not currently a cure for type 1 diabetes. And I've also talked to them about a lot of healthcare legislation that they're working on. But what I've really been inspired to do, and what I think is a powerful next step, is to want to give a voice to these marginalized communities who are affected with type 1 diabetes, so we can see how their stories and their experiences fit with the laws that are in existence and the goals of the people who are making these laws. I'm going to hopefully have different people each episode that can give insight into how different communities are affected by this system and the laws, and so we can learn how to do better. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next month for a new episode.